The aliens laughed at Earth's so-called predators. They were convinced that nothing on this primitive planet could match the strength and power of their advanced species. But they were about to learn something that would change their entire perception of humanity. In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, representatives from dozens of worlds gathered around a massive holographic display. The topic of discussion was Earth. Again, the small blue planet that had somehow earned a seat at the council table despite being what most species considered unremarkable. Commander ZYX of the Krillian Empire stood at the center of the assembly. His crystalline exoskeleton gleamed under the chamber's lights as he gestured dismissively at the holographic images of Earth's wildlife. "Look at these creatures," ZYX said, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 17 star systems. "Lions, tigers, bears? The humans call these predators." A wave of amused chittering and mechanical laughter echoed through the chamber. The towering Vortak delegate, a being of living metal and rage, stepped forward with movements that shook the floor. "Our hunting beasts could devour 1,000 of these Earth creatures without pause," the Vortak rumbled. "What joke is this that the humans present such weakness as strength?" At the human delegation table, Ambassador Sarah Chan sat quietly. Her fingers drummed once against the metal surface. Just once. The other human representatives exchanged knowing glances, but their faces remained calm. "You underestimate us," Chun said, rising slowly from her seat. Her voice was steady, almost conversational. "Our predators aren't just strong. They never stop fighting." ZYX's mandibles clicked in what passed for Krillian amusement. "Never stop fighting? Child, you have never seen true predators. Our razor stalkers have claws that can slice through starship hulls. Our void hunters track prey across light years of space." "I'm sure they're impressive," Chan replied with a slight smile. "But you're missing something important about Earth's creatures." "And what would that be?" the Vortak demanded. "They don't know when to quit." The chamber erupted in laughter again. Even the normally stoic, ethereal collective seemed amused, their energy forms flickering with what might have been mirth. ZYX leaned forward, his compound eyes focusing on the human ambassador. "Very well, humans. You wish to demonstrate the power of your predators? We accept this challenge. Send your strongest creatures against ours. Let the galaxy witness the true hierarchy of nature." Chen's smile widened. "Gladly. But I should warn you. We're not sending our biggest predators." "Oh." ZYX's voice dripped with sarcasm. "And what mighty beast will represent Earth?" "A honey badger." The silence that followed was deafening. Then, slowly, the laughter began again. Louder this time. More mocking. "A honey badger?" the Vortak roared. "What is this creature? Some massive apex predator hidden in your deepest jungles?" "Not exactly," Chen said, still smiling. "It weighs about 30 pounds. Maybe 40 on a good day." The laughter intensified. Several delegates were now openly pointing at the human table, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of ridicule. 30 pounds. ZYX could barely contain his amusement. "Our smallest hunting larvae weigh more than that. You mock us with this jest." "No jest," Chun replied calmly. "And no tricks. Just one honey badger against whatever you'd like to send." 3 days later, the arena on the neutral world of Nexus Prime was packed with spectators from across the galaxy. The massive Colosseum had been built specifically for interspecies combat trials, its adaptive environment systems capable of recreating any planetary conditions. In the center of the arena stood a containment field holding what appeared to be a rather ordinary-looking creature. Black and white fur, stocky build, about the size of a medium dog. The honey badger paced back and forth, occasionally stopping to sniff the air with apparent disinterest. The alien side of the arena was a different story entirely. ZYX had chosen to send 3 creatures instead of 1, confident that even his weakest predators would make quick work of the Earth animal. The first was a Krillian razor stalker. 8 feet tall, covered in natural armor plating, with claws that could indeed slice through metal. It moved with the fluid grace of a perfect killing machine. The second was a Vortak pain render, a mechanical biological hybrid creature that fed on the suffering of its prey. Its chrome teeth gleamed like surgical instruments. The third was something the ethereal collective had contributed. A creature of pure energy and malice, barely contained within a translucent form. It had no name that could be pronounced by physical beings, only a designation that translated roughly to the ending of things. The arena fell silent as the containment fields deactivated. The honey badger looked around once, seemed to assess the situation, and then did something that no one expected. It charged, not toward the smallest threat or the closest one. It went straight for the razor stalker, the most obviously dangerous predator in the arena. The Krillian creature, trained from birth to hunt and kill, raised its claws to strike. The honey badger hit it low and hard, latching onto its leg with jaws that locked like a steel trap. "Impossible," ZYX whispered. The razor stalker tried to shake off the small earth creature, but the honey badger held on. More than that, it began to climb, using its claws to scale the alien predator like a living mountain. The pain render circled around, looking for an opening to strike. When it lunged, the honey badger simply ignored it. The mechanical creature's teeth found purchase in the honey badger's flank, drawing blood. The honey badger's response was to continue its assault on the razor stalker as if nothing had happened. "You thought we were primitive," Ambassador Chen said from the observation deck, her voice carrying clearly through the arena's communication system. "You didn't understand. We never give up." The honey badger had reached the razor stalker's head. Without hesitation, it began to attack the creature's eyes. The massive alien predator screamed, a sound like tearing metal, and began to thrash wildly. But the honey badger held on. The ethereal creature, the ending of things, flowed forward like liquid death. Its energy form wrapped around the honey badger, and for a moment, it seemed the earth creature would finally be overwhelmed. Instead, the honey badger turned its attention to this new threat. Somehow, impossibly, its physical form began to disrupt the energy being's coherence. The creature of pure malice found itself being bitten by something that shouldn't have been able to affect it at all. In the stands, the galaxy's most powerful beings watched in stunned silence as their champion predators were systematically dismantled by a 30-pound earth mammal. "The honey badger doesn't know when to stop," Chun said, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "And neither do we." The razor stalker collapsed, its nervous system finally overwhelmed by the relentless assault. The pain render, designed to cause suffering, found itself on the receiving end of an attack so savage and unrelenting that its programming began to overload. The ethereal being, the ending of things, discovered that some things simply refused to end. Within 10 minutes, all 3 alien predators were down. The honey badger, bleeding from a dozen wounds, stood in the center of the arena and began to groom itself as if nothing particularly interesting had happened. The silence stretched on for what felt like hours. Finally, ZYX spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "How? Strength isn't in size," Chen replied. "It's in never knowing when to quit. But it's so small, so ordinary." "You laugh at what you don't understand," Chun said, watching as the honey badger continued its casual grooming. "But that's the first mistake you make." The Vortak delegate, its mechanical systems still processing what it had witnessed, stepped forward. "Your creature. It felt pain. We saw it bleed. How did it continue to fight?" "Because that's what honey badgers do," Chin explained patiently. "They don't fight to win. They fight because they don't know how to stop fighting. Pain doesn't make them quit. It just makes them angry." "We don't need to be the biggest to win," one of the other human delegates added. "We just need to be relentless." The arena began to empty slowly, beings from across the galaxy filing out in stunned silence. The carefully constructed hierarchy of galactic predators had just been shattered by a creature most of them had never heard of. As the crowds dispersed, ZYX approached the human delegation table. His crystalline form seemed dimmer somehow, less confident. "You called us primitive," Chun said before he could speak. "But you didn't realize, survival is our greatest strength." "What other creatures does your world possess?" ZYX asked quietly. Chen's smile was answer enough. "Would you like to find out?" The Krillian commander backed away slowly, his compound eyes fixed on the honey badger, which had now decided to take a nap in the center of the arena. "No," he said finally. "No, I think we've learned enough." As news of the arena trial spread across the galaxy, a new understanding began to emerge. Earth wasn't just another world with another species of primitives trying to find their place among the stars. Earth was the world that had produced creatures so utterly, completely, and absolutely unwilling to give up that they could overwhelm opponents 10 times their size through sheer, bloody-minded persistence. And if that's what their animals could do, what did that say about the humans themselves? You made the mistake of thinking we were weak, Chun said to the rapidly emptying arena. What you didn't see is that we've always fought and we'll always fight back. The honey badger opened one eye, seemed to consider whether anything in its immediate vicinity needed to be bitten, decided that it didn't, and went back to sleep. The galaxy, meanwhile, began to reconsider everything it thought it knew about the small blue planet in the outer spiral arm. Some lessons, it turned out, were taught with claws and teeth. And some teachers never, ever gave up.